floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Bass edge, eating those
Let the
roots.
bodies. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Down to
Bodies hit the
layers
floor.
of the
Let the
earth.
bodies hit the floor. Let the 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 bodies hit the floor.
Oh shit! What's going on here again? What is
Physically, I don't even know what to do about that.
So what are we gonna do about that if we?
We're just gonna explore and see where we go. Are you up on that? You cutting in and out? You still cutting? Come here, clear. We got another orbit.
Nothing. I mean, Andy,
Oh, you are really there now.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can?
Yeah. How you doing? What are you working on?
A promo for the Juneteenth parade.
Cool.
Music or something? Are you doing your musical intros or?
Yeah, that was some intro into, welcome everybody. We got Patrice Logan here on the PowerGurlz tip.
Okay, because I didn't hear that. I didn't hear it. So are you officially recording? Are we filming? I mean, are we doing this now?
There's some audio going right now. I can hit stop and then we can get the video set up and start at that point too. You want to do that?
I'm really kind of following what you want to do and how you want to test it out. So I'm just kind of however you want to proceed, just let me know.
Yeah, we're cruising. I'm hitting the zoom button over there. I'm in like Elven technology zone. The base elves have definitely been eating the roots in the mycelium. So,
And what you toys, what's happening?
yeah.
Okay. I'm working while you're doing that. So just let me know whenever you need me.
I'm excited, we've been talking about getting together and do some recording for a bit, and I love when talk turns into action, and I love how this action is talking, like cyclical, So everybody welcome Patrice Logan. We got the PowerGurlz action coming in.
I'm so excited to be here. And you're right. We have been talking about it. And I'm just glad you actually, took the time to invite me to have the elf experience. So thank you.
Yeah. So we've been had some little adventures, and you've been so supportive of the Wake the Farm Up show. Like it's just been like
Thank you.
it's just an amazing thing. I appreciate you so much. You've encouraged and almost, you don't even sometimes know it. You're just being you. And that's the most incredible part. And that's what I think has been such a cool part of our friendship. We're just like comfortable, just like getting together, talking and being ourselves, go deep places sometimes. And sometimes we're just silly as can be. And, it's all good. It's an adventure. So see what we get into in this.
Yes, I think we kind of connected day one. I'm just interested in just everything that you're talking about and just kind of like the fact that you're not only talking about it, like you're actually living this life. And just that connection, I think when we met at that moment in time, I'm on the same kind of path and just wondering what that looked like for me. So it was just kind of dope. And it is kind of dope just to kind of hang out, get to know you. And we vibe out. So dope. So you're welcome. You're welcome again. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's dope. And then just kind of meeting, just imagine all the different energy, the people that we've met along this journey together since we met each other. So it's, it's been a nice ride.
Yeah, you're very active doing things, not just talking, you talk a good talk, like I'd sit down and eat some shiitakes with you any day, just talk shit with you and, it's so much fun, but there's so much in it. There's so much that helps a person see different puzzle pieces. So I'd love to keep, our conversation going, it's like one of those endless ones. So let's enjoy that. I'm so grateful to be alive in this time and cruising around the earth at the same time as you. And
yeah. And then everybody kind of come into your life for reasons too, so just even the connection, just the energy, it's always just kind of good, like just the information, right? The connection, the vibe. And it's just like, I don't know, life be lifing sometimes. So it's always good to be around people that are grounded, are just seeking to do, not only just talk about things, but are actually taking those steps to get things done. So, I connect with you on that. So it's vibing. We be vibing.
Yeah. Finding those
But we ain't been
moments.
to the homestead again. We haven't had the homestead experience, right?
Yeah, I love when we get to talk about this experience even, I'm excited to see what, action comes from it when we get an experience in here. Look, I mean, we got a little piano going. There's other things that can, come together in a little space like this. And yeah, I look forward to doing that out here. Wake the farm up, some special little secret day.
So what does that homestead experience look like to you?
What does it look like to me? All right. Well,
yeah.
Just to keep track of the show, I want to introduce our show's theme. Our theme that we kind of discussed briefly beforehand was the topic of freedom in space, in the space, that a person can have here is, something I know in my 14 something years of being out here. There's been times that sure, maybe I took that space for granted. It's like, I've had enough space. I need to get into the middle of a fun big party with 40,000 people somewhere or something, I'm going to go crazy and then I'll be fine again, but, space is so important, I think, for, just a lot of things. And, I feel that's a thing that I'm trying to create, that space where I go, even when I'm in a space where there's 40,000 people, they might not know what the space that I exist in feels like. Yeah. And I'm there kind of representing space, forests, vast, ecosystems that are existing without very many humans at all. And, I'm kind of moving through that. That's the way I'm thinking a lot. That's what I'm moving and existing in. It's where I'm finding my food, wild mushrooms to, nettles down by the river. And, it's such a part of me. It's so fun to be able to bring that into those kind of spaces and just create what those spaces help create for me. They create a space of acceptance. I can laugh, I can cry, I can drag, my feet in the mud. I can even lay down in the mud, and the ecosystem's just going to accept me how I, roll with it. Not good or bad, but I mean, the ecosystem would eat me if I just lay down on the ground long enough, I'm not trying to do that, you know what I'm saying? But there's
I think that's one of the things I love. I'm not to cut you off, but I guess
please do.
About the homestead experience and just kind of being once I went to your house and kind of had my own experience, it's how you bring the outside in, the inside out. And I love the fact that when you actually get to experience your the podcast, you're bringing these things to the shows. We get to try them out. You're talking about them, and it's just that full connection, right? What are you looking at? What are you looking at?
I got I'm still learning this new little sound system thing that nature got me. So I'm checking out what the little sound lines are doing. And, when you're talking, there's different decibels and there's 3 different points I've learned that I can adjust it so it comes through as clear as I can. Okay. Yeah, the people deserve, good, clear audio.
How is it? Should I speak louder?
No, I think you're doing great. You're doing great. Oh. I got it set to a tone that I think should be working with your voice. I know somebody with more experience or me in a year from now, I might be better at it, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be great because you're doing it, right? That's the difference. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait for that experience, the homestead show, what that looks like. You kind of just sharing that And you do have all these amazing experiences and adventures. And it's like, okay, you come back and tell us the story. Like, guess what I did? Like, I camped out for months and something, and I just ate berries and shit. Like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. But not only that, it's just like the discipline that comes with that, the thought process that comes with it, and just like the commitment to live differently. So kudos to you on that. I mean, I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. But I think it's dope. At the end of the day, I think it's really dope just to kind of like, I think that's the reoccurring theme. It's like not really just talking about the things that you want to see or want to exist, but taking those steps to make your reality. And I guess that is making space free, right? Because when you realize that we are in control of our reality, life is a lot more freeing. So, yeah, we love this space. So this is my space.
I love that space.
The office
There's lights
space.
in there. Yeah, it's a good tone there.
This is the so this is our logo for the Big Hat Brunch, one of the women's empowerment events that we do every year.
What is that event called? What's that say?
It's called the Big Hat Brunch.
The Big Hat.
And the theme of that is real conversations with powerful women of purpose. So it's an amazing panel of diverse women just sharing their experiences with other women, looking beautiful and fly, some big hats and some fabulous gear, and enjoying a great lunch together. So it's a good time to like just connect and grow. And learn from each other, right? Just learning and growing from each other. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, learning, we have so much to share. So, and everybody has so much to share because we all live in different versions of life, right? So we all have some input to add. So just that connection is so important. So that's one of the things that we do.
I love that. So many voices coming together. And I like one of the first verbs you used in it was purpose, or is that a verb? I don't know. It doesn't matter grammatically, but you use the word purpose.
Conversations with power.
And that's like, I feel, you know, when somebody has the space in their life to explore the freedom of themselves, they can find their purpose. And there's some kind of burden perhaps that may come with the feeling of purpose. But there's a freedom in that kind of burden because it's like one that you're choosing, and it's like I'm taking this quest on, and you know I'm gonna open up to it, and you know I have a purpose, and there's you know something to that like drives you in the present moment, but you know it's like assessing the past, but you know kind of like going towards you know a future. I love purpose, and a lot of people, people are looking for that so hard. Is that something that like is shared in their stories and the voices in that, like how they find purpose?
Yeah, because it's even in your failures to get to the triumph and get to those moments, right? So, and I think that's the whole point of it, you know, like everybody just kind of share their experiences and things they went through and things they had to overcome. And in spite of all those things, when you believe like all will be well, because I'm living in accordance with my purpose, and just being able to kind of trust in that, which is a lot. that's heavy.
Yeah.
Especially with life, you know, and different things that come up. So you feel empowered by that. You feel like things are possible. So yeah, there is powerful women in purpose, and that is the space, right? And as we're talking about space, is that freedom, just kind of moving into like trusting in the universe that it will provide because you're moving in your purpose. So that which sometimes can be like, what? Because then we're talking about timing. You know, we're talking about timing. And then for us, living in the society we live in, timing is like this for us. And that's not how life works. That's not how the energy flows. It has its own timing and rhythm, and just being able to flow with that. So
Right. Well, that's where, there's adaptation along the way. But, when you think about like the opposite of purpose, it's like accidentally, or I don't know, like my childish brain wants to say on accident. It's like I did it on purpose or I did it on accident.
Right. So yeah,
it's like I want to live a life of purpose, and I definitely get it if people are, searching for that and trying to connect with their purpose, and just even sometimes thinking about like what is the opposite of it, like kind of boots you up a little bit, like, okay, I better get myself some sort of purpose. It could be simple. For me, sometimes it's just going and I need to go and very intentionally go spend time sniffing some moss and just smell the oxygen from it and then look at the little patterns, but it like gets your momentum going, and then you can find greater purposes. I think a lot of people sometimes get stuck because they're like, they think that they're ready to be at that purpose that's like, I'm ready to be in front of a coliseum of people. Why is it not there? And
yeah,
so I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times we think those purposes have to be so big, but we don't even understand like that ripple effect and that impact. Like what is grand? What is so big? Like we probably do things daily that impact people's life forever. Right.
Right.
And I think when we think of purpose, I think that's just being true to how you feel, like being true to what you want. You know what I'm saying? And it's not for yourself, but what you want for yourself and the world around you, for the people that you love. How can you impact your block? How can you impact your family? How can you touch your siblings, or, your parents even, so I think sometimes we get caught up in thinking it's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's
like you don't want to accidentally you don't want to like depend on just accidentally seeing your parents. You kind of put a little intention into it. I mean, maybe some people want to accidentally. I don't know, but
no, nobody wants to accidentally ever. ever. But yeah, I don't know. And then sometimes those be the conversations and the things that kind of we get lost in, like we get stuck because we feel like it has to be some grand thing. Like just live a happy life. Just be happy and just don't be an asshole. And I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Be real to yourself and don't cheat yourself, and let's not make it complicated. Kiss it, keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple. Yeah, there's a lot of talk. So I know I get to share with you about permaculture sometimes, and I know you're interested in some of these peculiar things because they are definitely part of the vocabulary, communicating the way in which I've like rewired my brain in the last 30 years or whatever. But yeah, there's this whole concept of working less in the garden. Now, to me, that's confusing because you're talking to a bunch of gardeners who are trying to produce a bunch of food and all these different things, right? But it is like a matter of like figuring out like what's working for itself.
Yes.
What's like, efficiently taking care of itself. And like that can expand beyond the garden too. That's like...
Yeah, I mean, that's like in life. Like, that's like in cooking. Like, don't keep touching the pot. Let it do what it's going to do. Like, you can actually mess it up because, like, your hands is in it too much, Yeah,
you could...
I guess that's like...
You could, like, let that cook while you're, like, chopping some wood. And then, like... you're not just chopping wood, you're observing the weather patterns and, there's just like so many layers of what's really going on. And if we could figure out a way to account for all of that, it'd be fascinating to look at the numbers, but it's like, why? That's like a whole other thing to add into all these things we're trying to flow in already that actually do make sense to do. But, it's fascinating stuff. Questions.
And it's so crazy because I don't know if you watch. I keep kicking this tripod, so I feel like it's getting shaky. So let me know.
No, it's fun. It's like a puddle. Shutter.
I don't know if you watch these like foreign cooking things, like on TikTok, Instagram, where they'll have like a older lady in another country, and they'll show her like, you know, washing the vegetables and cooking it, and she's going out and this. Like it's a whole process to just a meal. And even in that, it just even allowed, like you said, to step away from it as she's doing other things. Like she'll start like cutting something and put in a whole thing, but then she's off somewhere else doing something else. Yeah, like yeah, all of that stuff, right? So, but she's not sitting there washing the pot constantly, like, is it burning? No, she's trusting the process. And she's accomplishing so much more, right? Just, I guess, that efficiency, and I guess just that trusting the process. And even that, let's move it back to the theme, this space and that freedom. Like, just imagine I'm sure she's enjoying the process because there's no stress there. She's trusting in what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. So she can let it simmer as she get other goals and things accomplished. So
yeah, that's like even the question at a certain point when you're asking what is the difference between work and just life. Like some of those processes, you know, I could relate to, you know, where you're just like, you're just doing things, you're scrubbing some root off. You know, you got this other thing that's been preparing for 6 months in, you know, a special fermenting container. And you got, I don't know, there's just like all these different aspects of things. And it's all just a dance and an interaction. To me, I guess what I'm seeing is that importance of that connection between us and what is out there. You know, like there's so much of a matrix of things out there, and we're very disconnected and, you know, a large way relying on, you know, like these large extractions from large farms and then large processing. So we don't have to do the processing, and then we're advertised to that, you know, the processing's a lot of work.
Right.
You know, talk to the people in the factory, dude. They'll tell you it is.
Yeah. And then because we want the process, we want it quick, like there's no joy in cooking food. There's no joy in sharing meals. When, you know, it's a different type of joy if we're actually getting that food out of the garden, out of the backyard or whatever that looks like, and preparing it. Like that love that goes into the hands that prepare those food versus, all right, well, boom, 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 let's box it up. We ain't got time, throw it in the microwave. Let's go and have a meal. Freedom in space.
TV's on.
So even that trickle effect, right?
Yeah. Just trickles right out through into the disconnect. And then it like, you know, it leads to all kinds of things, you know, leads to all kinds of things, all the different sour patches of the world.
Yeah. But I think we all kind of realize and know that the shift is here and people are seeking more, whether that's from themselves, in themselves, reaching, you know, from life, from their life, and just kind of really determining what their life is going to look like. I like how you're kind of getting a little dark because the sun is going down right there. That's nice.
And the forest behind me is starting to kind of look like my shirt or something.
Yeah, I know. That's nice though. Yeah. So yeah, I feel a shift, and that's what these connections make sense. Podcasts like this make sense to kind of enhance on that and provide people with information, so they can like grow and you know, don't feel like, okay, am I crazy or am I crazy? No, you're not crazy.
No, yeah,
you're feeling
connection and finding the vocabulary that helps you feel comfortable with communicating that connection. Keep exploring those things, you know, and you know the way that, you learn how other people around the world have like explained these things. Like for me, like even the elf and sharing stories of seeing little people when I was a kid, like 13-year-old. I've explored since then. There's like names for elves and little people and different images and representations of them from cultures all around the world. And something I'm starting to explore a little bit more again right now. And it's kind of, these things kind of come back together and come back in and out of our lives as they're, different purposes and importance, and, that space of freedom comes up for them. Just looping.
So, okay, so you really seen an elf, Ande.
Yeah. And that's why, back when I was 13, 14, people started calling me the elf. Because, like, when you see an elf and you go to school and kids and you start telling them about that, next thing you know, they're going to call you the elf. And yeah, I learned real quickly. It's not like something that you constantly just go and share with everyone. But I'm totally comfortable with it now. So I'm,
And you know what? I do remember you sharing that story. I don't remember if there were drugs involved at all.
No, there was no drugs involved. Other than, maybe at that time, like, Pablo Escobar was getting cocaine into the Coca-Cola or something. I know that was like, a thing
Right.
for a bit, but,
Yeah.
I had never had anything like that. So, yeah. That came later.
So, okay. So what is your goal? What is the motivation for you behind the podcast, behind the
elf
life? Okay. I was listening for the sound.
Yeah. Well,
Wake the farm up.
Is like its whole own like living thing. It's like a they them thing. For me, the elf quest though, and I'm just tuning into it and letting this, not living on accident, but moving with this purpose and understanding what the purpose is. Being clear with who my supporters in this system are. And for me, they're not always necessarily people. They're other entities in the ecosystem as well. And, I just, want to take a moment to shout them out. Like Juniperus virginiana is bringing us the cleaner sound today. And, that's a whole nother story of how that works, but it works. I've been connecting with nature. Even my college I went to in the late 90s, the theme of the college, Hocking College in the Hocking Hills, Ohio, was their tagline at the time. I'm not sure what it is now. I think it's changed, but at the time it was where nature meets technology. And so I've been asking to, my guides to figure out how that works. How do I connect these things in my life? I really feel like in the balance of things there, nature has less of a voice heard. As we were discussing earlier, there's so many voices, right? I mean, just think how many voices there are out there in the forest, so I fantasize if they all, were accounted for in a voting system, like where we would be right now with like true, democracy that cares about life and, healthy, abundant ecosystems and stable ecosystems. It's all a reflection of our minds and what's going on in our minds, and how, what we're seeing outside is like inside of us too in so many ways. And we all feel that, carry that in a little different way. And so I feel like my quest though is to really honor nature in a way that I can help bring her or its voice, the unnamed voices out through people, animals, birds, like the instruments that people will find that they create through different pieces of the earth put together in like the process, of like a banjo, all the different forms they come in. I want to like just keep creating a place where people can share their experience of nature, what nature is trying to communicate through them. And
Yeah.
And for me, like that's a big part of it. I want to encourage and support that, whether it's on, a platform or not. But I feel nature is encouraging me to do that right now.
Mm. And what do you think are some of like the challenges that come with that?
Some of the challenges.
I mean, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that's because we know that's how life works. That's how nature works.
yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of challenges. You get, you'll get the anxiety of like, you get all these people telling you all these different shoulds. You could do this and you could do that, and yeah, there's a vast amount of ways and options of things that you could do to play with creating content.
Well, maybe for you, like, but okay, because it can be a lot. But not give us, because there's gonna be people watching this. Give us one, because that's the reality in things. Like, I think we need to really understand, like, no matter how the perception look and the purpose is, it still requires work. It still requires a level of commitment when things are looking bleak. It still requires like commitment. Like, so what are maybe for you it's a big challenge or something that you kind of had to either overcome or that you kind of deal with or face?
Well, I definitely wanted to make this thing be something that's really fun for me. And I would almost even say all the time. And it really is. I mean, it's not like my job. I got other jobs.
Right.
And so I'm able to allow nature to help, in its different ways, contribute to me through, homesteading resources that are offered, through land and process and understanding and connection to nature, to convert those to, things that are helping me put this show out there. And, in the meantime, I live a very simple life, and I like to travel, and I love live music, and I love visiting farms and connecting with people that are exploring these realms of permaculture and recreating society from the inside out, and not being afraid, just trying to encourage and have the courage to keep standing up. Because I don't know, it's been in my journals, honestly, probably since I was 13, just like with so many different verbiages along the way. There was like my fiery 20s where it was burned down Babylon every day, just like singing that out, like, getting excited when I'd see a tree of heaven, Ailanthus tree growing up in a crack of a building, just being like, yeah, go nature, eat that stuff.
Nature wins.
Nature's gonna eat it.
Yes. Love that. Like, yeah, she does. She's a glorious energy, right? She's gonna always prevail. Okay, so that's really dope.
Yeah, but so I think the challenge maybe like one perspective too. I know in 2020 I had gotten really busy.
Now you want to answer the question.
I got really busy with permaculture, like design work and consulting with people on how to like grow food around their homes and things like that, right? And it's interesting. I feel like the number of consults was up at that time. It's kind of mellowed out, like how many people are coming at me interested in that really sincerely. And I feel like it's almost like that part of my line of work, permaculture consulting, is almost a meter to how, stable society is feeling in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's like right now, I feel like people are feeling pretty stable here in the United States anyway. We like to think about, other things, but things are shifting.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like two active wars. I mean, it's multiple wars going on just around the world. And it's just, it's so crazy. And I'm like, wow, like it's people just like lives are devastated daily. And it's like, oh, we're just getting up and going to work like, wow, like nothing's happening. Just even those disconnect.
Oh, hey, guess what? The video stopped.
Yeah, that's cool.
I could start another.
Well, you didn't keep track of the time, Ande.
We're still recording our audio.
Hey. But that's kind of weird.
That's a weird way to end it.
No. Just the shit that's going on in the world.
Yeah, for real.
And we just fucking like, nobody's talking about Ukraine and Russians anymore. Like, what the fuck is going on over there? Like, it's just a lot of horrific things that are happening to humans, and the fact that we just move accordingly,
Yeah.
So
It's
crazy.
It's hard. I mean, like, a lot of burden to carry, in these times of knowing what's going on in the whole world and wishing that you could do something about it. Wishing that what you were doing was doing something about it in some way. And I pray that in my walk, that whatever I'm doing is helping the world in some way, whether it's my simplicity, my not contributing funds to corporations that I don't agree with what they're doing or how they operate, or at this point in my life, even how their food tastes or whatever it is, there's there's an interesting, just we try to do what we can. And, I love feeling where I'm at in life now is just ready to talk about these things and encourage people to share what they're seeing and what, ways we can help change and make it a safer planet to live on. I mean, really, with like permaculture design and techniques, our planet could statistically like inhabit 25 billion people very happily together. So there's still a lot of space for freedom right now, but not with our current system of extraction and consumption.
Right. And waste.
Yep.
In ways, in ways. Like, it's so weird when you, yeah. It kind of, it can feel a lot. Like, it can feel like just a little bit too much if you just kind of just think about the plight of others and just, but I guess that's where you move into the purpose. And understand, like, sometimes you can't affect the whole world, but let's be responsible for touching those that we can. And like you're saying, it's that, and believing in the ripple effect and believing in the butterfly effect. Like, those things actually trickles down and touches other people in ways that we would never know.
Right.
So what about the Beagles?
About the Eagles?
Bengals. I was thinking of something else to say to kind of just switch up the energy or the tone, like, because those things kind of make you sad. Like, what the fuck?
Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, it's good to feel sad, but that's another cool thing about it, just, being real, exploring all the human emotions in life. And me, like, I don't like to dwell in the sad realm forever. I don't like to loathe forever. I like to, move things into another realm, but it's good to feel those. I feel that it's again one of those things that helps you, not take for granted the space and freedom that we have around us, like.
Yes. And I think that's the most important thing, right? In those moments, in those situations, and even in that thought and feeling, it comes with a level of gratitude and thankfulness. And then back to purpose.
Mm-hmm. Purpose. I love how purpose has been like a target point of our, realm of space and freedom. And, it definitely goes tangent together. And, even in a social environment or engagement, like of the forest, it's like, we were talking about it being like the outside world, not just the forest, but like the ecosystem, the layers of trees and bushes that creep right up to our fences and into our lawns where we cut them back or manicure them or whatever people are doing.
Right.
It's like there's this whole living earth, just covering everything. I mean, little organisms on the dashboard of your car. It's everywhere constantly. And it's like, we don't, just
and
like,
these are the things that like the earth is providing for us. And just even that fact, like, because I think you even mentioned it earlier, how with the garden stuff, right? How we're trying to make these cute gardens and all that stuff, where nature really provides if we allow it to grow and give us what we need. So
yeah,
that is the freedom of faith.
There is like a interaction with it of where a forest that is most productive in food for people is going to have a balance of conflict and growth. It's like right in that forest stage where there's grassland species and there's also old growth forest species. There's this really dense mix of diversity of plant life, and even fauna, like the animals that move through are from all these different realms. And that's where there's going to be more flowers. That's where there's going to be more like, smaller shrubs, as well as sunlight hitting the ground with herbs and trees with fruits and the nuts and things. The first.
So what can we do as a small gardener? Or like, do you give out tips and things? Because, I did take you and I wanted you to kind of give me some tips on what I can do in my backyard because I want to grow more things, but I want to grow things that are like native to the area, things that are going to grow together. I don't want to have a pretty lawn. Like, I don't want to have things growed up. I want to let nature provide, but just give it the sustenance that it needs, right?
Yeah.
So what does that look like for a new gardener like me or somebody that's interested in doing something like that?
Well, I think there's a lot of growth that can happen with the land. There's a concept that I've been introducing to other permaculture consults and designers recently with kind of confused, scratched heads, like where the idea of us stewarding the land, right? It's like we're going out and kind of touching the earth in certain ways. We're trimming this back so this grows in a certain way, and designing around your home and your interaction with nature. You're going to be thinking about all those little elements. Like, are you going to be putting in a bush that's bigger than the space? That means you're going to need to prune it back every year. Okay. When you prune it back every year, what do you receive? You receive all these clippings that you can use to mulch this other area over there. Cool. Okay. That's a system. Boom. It's working. You're not having to go buy mulch or whatever, And that's the idea of is figuring out what all those little loops are in your little system, learning about the individual elements, and how they work together. I mean, it can be really complex. I mean, it's like a lifetime journey of learning and connecting, and but it's also really simple too, and I think very instinctual when you can kind of tap into that flow where even beyond you're stewarding the land, that idea that the land is stewarding you too.
Yes. I mean, because I had because I've read, I can throw my potatoes when they start sprouting, just dig a hole and bury them and just cover with a lot of leaves. And then I'll have a whole bunch of potatoes.
Yeah.
And I've collected those, and I've never actually, because to me, it's like, okay, so where do I plant them? And is that really true? How deep do I have to dig the ground? And because gardening, I don't have gardens, okay, but I do have plants and things like that, and they are my babies. And so it's always sad, if you grow something and it live.
Yeah.
You just be like, I'm just horrible.
It's like a lot of things it's like project management where you're working with a group of people, I kind of can, it's like if you got a whole bunch of people that you're working for, you're having to deal with making sure they're all getting lunch or, getting fed and they have a place to stay and they're getting this, you're figuring out all those little details, right? And
because then some of them have allergies and can't eat certain things.
Yeah.
And one's a vegetarian. It's just like, what the hell?
Yeah. So and then, there's even the things that aren't written down, like you already know, so-and-so can't sit at the same table as, that other person there. They
don't like each other for real.
Yeah. It's a lot like that with the plants, It's kind of.
Wow, that is so true. That is so true. Okay, so what do you think, because some of my plants are in soil, some of my plants are in water. They thrive regardless. I feel like I really do have a green thumb, for real. But I'm just kind of scared to take my green thumb outside because I feel like I perfected my skills in the house and I grew my babies up to be thriving individuals.
That's what it is, just figuring out what you can do to provide for plants that you're adding into a plant system, or, otherwise, observe, what nature is naturally seeding, maybe throw seeds in. You're really onto something with that potato thing. There's a lot of people, they roll out bales of hay and leave it 6-8 inches thick and just put the potatoes in little holes in the hay and let it grow. And when it gets to a certain height, they'll put some more hay, kind of rake it in tight around the plant, and not even have to dig up the soil.
I would love to see you offering tidbits and information and things like that. Like, hey, this week I'm at Patrice's garden. We're gonna check back in. We're gonna throw some potatoes in the ground and check back in with her in a month and see what she's doing. Or maybe I gave her simple instructions on how to do that and that follow up.
Yeah, I like that.
Only because I don't want to do it by myself and it doesn't grow. Who can I blame but myself? I need somebody else to blame.
Yeah, you can blame the elf.
No.
No, it's like when you're doing HR, you can give the people all the things, give them lunch, you could give them the insurance for the day's work, you could give them, new shoes in the morning, you could give them all the things to have a good work day. But it's up to them still. And sometimes, some of them didn't have a good start, you got it from a weird nursery or whatever it is. Maybe. But, just looking at what that even means, though, to give a plant what it, needs. And
needs to thrive.
That could be like a whole episode almost. But, I could be it's simple. But it's not that simple, I guess. If you're, we're talking to a wide audience, some people might be living down in the swamps in southern Alabama. Somebody might be living in a mountain area where it's really rocky soil and, you can only, dig down 3 inches or something. So it's,
and then the good thing about it is, right. And then people are growing things in apartments and plants and pots rather. The hydro thing, where you get the tower and just so I guess there is a lot of ways to introduce providing for ourselves. I think that's interesting. I would really kind of I think that, I feel like there are people that kind of talk about it but not really in the way of, hey, let's grow the garden together. Everybody's at different levels, whether you're growing in a pot or you actually have space and land to grow it into. How do we start? This month we're gonna focus on growing peppers.
I got big dreams too. I really see so many potentials if there was more people seeing these potentials. But you can only do so much. But there's for our area, this region, the Ohio River Valley, there's an invasive plant that's fairly commonly known. There's the honeysuckles, okay, the laniceras. There's a vining one. There's a bushing one, and they're very aggressive. And goats really seem to love it. And people who have space and land often want to pay somebody to come and remove it. And there's a lot of times a lot of harmful ways in which they're doing it with either some kind of excavator equipment or poison sprays. I mean, some of the people I feel are like some of the most sweet ecologists out there are still into like cutting them down and then painting their trunks with like glyphosate kind of chemical onto it that kills the roots. And to me, it's just like I've never been able to do that or like understand why we would need to. And there's just so many other ways to manage these things. And I really think goats, I mean, that's like a simple animal that a person could keep in their backyard and then have a neighborhood goat removal service or a bush removal service, where they go and just eat it. And what happens, the goat drops some fertilizer and makes the soil a little healthier for the next garden to come, which is what the plant's trying to do anyway. Plants are trying to change and build soil and grow and change over time. There's just a lot of different invasive plants have a very strong response here because there's not a lot of negative responses to them being here yet. They're still, kind of working their way into the new forest, the new ecosystem, the new mind. Just loop that back into my mind too. It's just like,
so do we need we need to have a goat farm is what you're saying?
Oh, we need goats. We need like people interacting with this whole thing. That's what it is.
That would be so dope, though. Just that connection, right? Even just kind of, this is just the confirmation and proving how, and it's like when we do all these horrible, horrific things to the earth, it's just like doing those things to yourself. Like, how would you feel?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you think about it, most Americans and in our country, we are so used to living this unhealthy type of processed type of diet that just even understanding and getting back to nature and understanding like, hey, we can have a goat farm and also teaching kids about caring for animals, teaching about the earth and the ecosystem and what we can do to kind of help the cycle of the earth because, hey, the earth provides. We need to take care of her.
Yeah.
So that's a whole education piece.
There's a lot of faith.
I say, let's go buy some goats.
And just like let them loose in town.
I
got some goats.
Buy some goats.
I got some goats. I walk them around. They eat multiflora rose around here.
Yeah, we'll have some goats and then we'll take them to different people's areas or people like introduce the new way, like how we can actually feed each other. You know what I'm saying? We're destroying things that can actually feed these goats, but we'll give these goats like fucking cardboard paper. That's dumb.
No, right. It's like,
you know what I mean? Like that doesn't even make sense. Let's start bringing cows and shit that can do things to help aid the ecosystem and provide for us. And then we'll have healthier animals that we can consume if you consume those. Yeah. And we'll have rich fruit and vegetables.
Yeah. Yeah. Yo, wake the farm up. I can even see think about all the different pit bull farms. I love pit bulls. They're cute and stuff, but like, it's like so more readily available to have like 5 pit bulls in your backyard, like not any goats or chickens or something, the goat not only is like eating these bushes and making the landscape look more appealing to our human brain for whatever reason, but they're also like fertilizing the soil, but they're also making some milk if you're into that, or it could be like one that you're going to process and it could make a nice neighborhood barbecue. Shoot,
Oh, no. Okay, but you can use goat for what? Just what they provide to the earth. If you like goat milk, boom, boom, bam. If you like killing them, boom, boom, bam.
Yeah,
can you skin a goat? Do people use?
Yeah, that's what the djembe drums are commonly made with goat skins. It's a very common drum skin. Yeah, it's you can do a lot with goat skins and furs.
Let's not talk about killing them so much unless they die of old age and shit like that. Right? let's kind of just talk about like put them in their natural place. And I do understand that I eat meat, so I'm not saying like no.
Yeah, it'll come around. It's like there is a desensitization, like the other day I was sitting with some people and they were like, happy to hear that. I think recently in South Korea, they outlawed dog farms for meat. And, I thought that was interesting. It's like as our global society's like mindset of what's ethical, what's normal, what's this, that, and the other thing. It's like we condemn these people for eating dogs and made this like culture feel like bad about it, that, they've been eating this like breed of dogs for eons, and that's just been dumbed down to where they're going to be another place like anywhere in the world where it's, the guy comes in and he's like, most people prefer the chicken. Most people prefer the pork.
Right.
Most people
and then
prefer
even when
the
you
beef.
think about it, it's so like, I don't know why I'm not a vegan. It's only because the parasites in my body like, no meat. Just because like the basic things. If you ever watch an animal show, like these animals are living mothers, fathers, like they care about things, they have feelings and emotion. So what gives us the right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the world that we live in, everything gives us the right because, I am the most superior. I am the most dominant. I am the thing that makes the decisions on who's fit to do what. Like, that is so crazy. Like, do we even watch Animal Planet ever? Like, let's just go to the basics. Like, it's Discovery Channel is on. Like, and even if you watch how these animals interact and have families and communities and relationships and bonds and all these things that we as the superior race humans in quotation marks have, it's kind of crazy. So we're eating their trauma and those things that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
A lot of the meats, I mean, just like my comparison charts, so I definitely think it's important to fast often and to like really tune into what you're eating. I definitely had years go by where I was vegetarian. I had years go by where I was mostly vegan. I'd probably eat some honey once in a while, so that didn't count me in there. But I really started tuning into what I needed to eat for me without giving it a name other than I'm a pedestrian. And there's something to it, like for me, like my body type, understanding it, I definitely like to eat a lot of mushrooms. The ecosystem offers them to in front of my, face a lot. So I harvest them. That's definitely a high protein source that I'm able to, find from the forest.
Right.
And on the other side of things, like eating meats, I definitely feel better when I'm eating a deer who ran free in the forest and ate like 400, 500 different species of plants in the last couple years while it grew, compared to eating something that was like fed like corn in one little sloppy, muddy pit for a year. Shipped around through factories and boxes and wrapped in plastic 12 different times. Like, there's definitely a different feel to it and experience to it. And I really understand sometimes, just like, again, I feel like we have a huge disconnection from nature and society and culture as a whole. And, there's just a lot to explore, and like, what is nature really trying to offer? What do you really need? Do we really need to eat a lot of soybeans? I don't know about that. There's, just like we need a diversity of things. The average American, I think right now eats about 20 plants per year. That's like a lot of your basics, like from rice, beans, corn, soybeans, just like a lot of basic sugar. That's, one of the plants. But it's not that diverse of a diet. And, there's so many nutrients that we can get that are often offered up by nature in seasons, so for me in the, winter time and fall, I'll find myself needing to eat more meat, and I'm, exploring these patterns still and trying to remember them. They probably would have been common at a time when society was procuring all its food from its, local area, to really kind of know what to be eating in that season. It's because it's what's there. And it's amazing how much this puzzle makes sense, of these nutrients are coming in, the climate is doing this, it makes your body feel this way. That makes sense.
Yeah. 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 I'm with it. So it's a lot of shit. I don't know. This is not a cursing thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think, like, we kind of going back, like, space is freedom. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you have a lot of land, you are in an apartment, you grow on shit in your patio, in a plant. Just being more aware and more responsible, and just kind of like really honoring what's provided for us. But I think we should be more involved in the process of what goes into our mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And like you say,
just be more responsible.
We were talking about like that difference between work and play too, even like that process, like how do we find ourselves in it and like able to focus in it where we're singing a song while we're doing it and really present with it. We're, just really enjoying that moment of the process and the art of it, the expression of yourself in it, like the exploration of a vegetable when you cut it up, just seeing the different shapes of the pepper when you cut it a different way. It's fun.
Yeah, the smell of it, the juice that come out of it, the seeds, and what you can do with that. Like, you can grow your own plethora of those things that they're providing. Not only are they providing, they have more to offer than just like right now. So,
I just want donuts.
That part.
Yeah.
So I think that's the journey. I think that's why I definitely connect with you, because I love just the journey that you're taking, and I love to be a part of it. I love to hear about it. And it allows me to kind of just open up my mind to possibilities that I already know that are there, So I kind of challenge you to give us some more ways of waking the farm up, of waking the farm up in our own farm. Like, we are the farm. Because there's a lot of animals and plants on the farm. So we gotta wake it all up.
Yeah,
and just kind of having the responsibility, moving in that purpose, and realizing that it doesn't matter what the space is, there's still freedom there. Mm-hmm. So kudos to you.
Hey, Elf. Maybe we'll do some Elf and Patrice in the garden episodes when we get these like video things smoothed out. Look forward to creating things with you, and yeah, definitely love your encouragement and support, and like, direct encouragement support too. That's what I really like and appreciate about it. It's like,
I don't be doing too much. Sometimes people say I do too much. I feel like I was really good this time. But sometimes I've been known to do too much.
On purpose or accident?
Well, hey, I just show up as my real authentic self. Like, how you digest it is up to your palate. Like, I don't know.
Nice. I love you so much. You're an awesome friend. Thank you for being on the Wake the Farm Up. Yo, Wake the Farm Up. This, new realms was going to explore in here. So let's all give a round of applause for Patrice Logan. After they chill out from the applause, I want you to shout out some of your links that you can, people can support and find and, connect with you in the ways that you like. I want to thank
you for having me. I'm sorry, because I keep talking so much. Thank you, Andy. I
want to hear you.
I cannot thank you profusely enough. I appreciate you. I love you wholeheartedly. I see you, and I respect you where you are in the journey of where you're trying to be. And I'm just glad to be a part of the ride. So thank you for just allowing that space for me. It's Patrice Logan. So, I tell my students, just Google me. Don't look up the arrest records because, listen, I was young, but Any other way you can find me, I'm just here to connect and grow. I'm doing a lot of things, and I'm just trying to connect with other people that's doing a lot of things, or just even things, because, yeah, that's the connection.
Love that.
I love you to death. Get ready for an unparalleled experience at the Cincinnati official Juneteenth Parade. On June the 19th, we're weaving the threads of history, commemorating the end of slavery.
We talk about dreams. We talk about dreams. Dim light, faint glow, that ain't feeling astral. High beam, I've seen.
Get ready for an unparalleled experience at the Cincinnati official Juneteenth Parade.
Like a cat.
On June the 19th, we're weaving the threads of history, commemorating the end of slavery and celebrating the enlightenment period of the African American. What are you doing, sir?
Wake the farm up.